first of all, welcome to S3 Malaysia Joint Nation Award. Yang berhormat all the Doctor and all the Joint Innovation Award winner. So it has been our privilege to have you guys all here after the pandemic that happened in Malaysia. So because this is the first time after pandemic we have this physical event, so we see a lot of our GIS community, GIS geeks, like what some of them say, come in here excited. Some of them say, oh, when do you going to have the next event and so on. So before I move on, I would like to touch a little bit about a summary of all the presentation that we have today before we go into the new technology trend. So it is a journey to success. It is not like 1 month, 2 months. It is a journey that every organization take to be successful. Some of them actually plan their journey in a very strategic way. What do they want to achieve in long term, and what do they want to achieve in short term, and in near term as well. So some of them take journey like whatever data that you have, you quickly enable it, probably in a few months or a few days. Then they slowly move on from there and improve from there. So it is not a simple journey, like, okay, satu hari I want to have everything in and so on. So it is good to start the journey with small steps, taking in all the information in, like what one of our winners said, Zalan, 80% of our data has geospatial element. It is very simple to actually enable the geospatial application. So when I was visiting some of the PBT, so I would like to say that when I look at their data, 100% of their data has location element. Every single data that they work with has alamat, has address in that particular element. So this is where we can take smaller steps to actually enable all this information into the platform. Okay. So what I'm saying here is we have different kind of data. Some of the data we readily have available. We took probably a few months, few years to actually collect all this data. And some of this data actually comes from different agencies or even come from soft copy maps, Excel spreadsheet and so on. And I would like to say that the data doesn't stop there. More and more data will keep on coming in. New technology trends will come in, like IoT, sensors starts to come in. Now people use the word big data, 3D, BIM data. All this data will keep on coming in, and it is important for us to know what we want to do with this data. How do we bring all this data together so that we can actually share with our organization, with our community, and across the stakeholders? So the important thing we like to ask, of course data is important, and all organization has all the data. You have the data warehouse with you. The important thing to ask is, what story you want the data to tell? And what kind of output, what kind of challenges you want to solve. And this is where you can actually make use of this data, geospatially, to actually solve some of your challenges. And in your journey to plan, in this geospatial journey that you're going to have in your organization, it is very important to know that what do you want to get out from this system. Then you start to actually plan your journey. It is like a roadmap, a strategic plan that you will have. A lot of organization has this called plan strategy for that organization. So I would like to actually challenge all the organization today to have something called a GIS or a geospatial strategic plan, to plan things geospatially and how we can actually enable our organization. So a lot of organization, we go through a journey. In general, this is the 4 stage of success maturity. We first start off probably by reactive mode. When there's a challenge, we solve it. When there's a problem, we try to actually address it with the application and so on. So all of us actually started from that journey, and then we start to move on. Now we have so many data. How do we make this data more insightful, more proactive, and last but not least is, like what Yang Betua say, it is the human to actually change the whole process. How do you make it? How do you transform your entire organization along the user demand or the community demand or the citizen demand? So these are the 4 stages that a lot of organization goes through. So as they move on from reactive, insightful, and then they start to actually transform the entire organization. But this doesn't stop here. The transformation continues, and it requires us to actually go through that particular journey again. So in the geospatial strategic plan, first of all, we need to understand our current state. What do we have in our organization? What do we want to actually solve in our organization? Then we actually start to plan. This is where we have all the roadmaps coming out. What do I do this year, next year, long term? And then we start to actually act on it, creating apps, application, like what you have seen from all the winners today. And not to stop there, this journey has to be revisited. It is not like a static plan there. It has to be revisited after a few years or after 1 or 2 years to see whether it is still relevant for the industry, it is still relevant for our community. So this is like a circle of journey that all organizations will need to actually take through. So that's why you see some of the organizations that presented today, they say, oh, phase 1, I do this, phase 3. And the most important thing is all of them have said, moving forward, what I would like to do, because it is a journey that they don't stop, they keep on moving forward, how do they want to improve from there onwards. So these are some of the steps that a lot of these organizations take. Understand, first of all, define your organization vision and goal. What do you want to actually achieve? Then understand what do you have in your organization? What do you want your organization to achieve your desired state? Plan and maximize existing investment because you have a lot of data inside there. Probably you have some of the software inside there already, probably underutilized and so on. And then future initiative, then create your plan. Own, the whole organization actually has to own it, not only by a single department, but across department. Because like what some of our speakers say, it requires a team to move further, okay? Then act on it by initiative and initiative, phases by phases, and last but not least, to actually revisit your plan and achievement. So I just leave this one. This QR code is actually on the table. If you would like to know more about how to actually create strategic plan, how do we help our customer to create strategic plan, how other customer actually creates that strategic plan, you can actually book a consultation slot with us. Okay. So next move on to when we talk to a lot of our customers in Malaysia, there's 2 emerging technology trends. A lot of time, we listen from them, they would like to actually automate the process. They say that I do not want to have this traditional way. And then there's this called the Industry Revolution 4.0 starts to come in. So a lot of them ask us, how do we automate? By using Joe AI or AI in very specific. So the example that you see over there is how do we do feature extraction of all our building footprint without us digitize every single building footprint from there. And how do we detect road cracks without us going on the site to monitor or to survey every single road cracks? Or in the extent, how do we actually track certain dangerous vehicle in national security perspective? The next thing that a lot of our customers starts to go into is 3D. We first started off with 2D. Now our world is no more 2D already. We talk about digital twin. So everything goes 3D. That's why a lot of moving forward plan from our customer touch on top of 3D. Whether it is the 3D building, 3D city, having a mixture with reality capture as well as BIM integration, because a lot of submission now from the contractor is in 3D format. So I would like to share with you some example of AI success. So I'll just pick only 2 examples. So when you see the one Kuwait Pasi, right, what it does is it tries to actually automate all the building footprint in Kuwait. One of the challenges they face, right, is their stakeholders are not referring to them. Their stakeholders is referring to Google Earth, Google Map. But they actually have the authoritative data. But the reason why the stakeholder is not referring to them is because previously they do not have updated data. All data is updated. So what they did was they used AI. They actually run through the whole country and they managed to actually map out all the building footprint in Kuwait. And now onwards, they have declared that all their stakeholders is no longer using Google. They're using their application as the authoritative data source. This is how Joe AI actually helps. And another thing that was used is actually like Australian utility. Because they want to map out all the utility line, where are all the electric lines and so on. So what they did was they did a point cloud, they did a LiDAR, and then they start to actually categorize everything. So this is where a sample of all the distribution utility line. Instead of people going out on the field to actually capture it, they actually use this technology, AI, to actually identify which one is the utility pole, the line, and so on. So AI is something that we have touched a lot about. So the next thing that I wanted to share is one 3D example. I actually captured a video. That video is something that is done in Netherlands. So it's something very simple. I know that some of you have done much complicated 3D. So I want to see how simple is it to have something from nothing and build up a 3D. So what you see over here is whereby they take all the different kind of UAV, your drones and so on, they mash it up all together. So of course you see the quality is different, okay? What they did is, after that they start to build the 3D. So our software do is they add up all the floor, not only above, but also underground. So of course you can start to actually symbolize it according to the status of the floor and so on. So you can have every single floor information once you start to actually split it out. But of course you don't talk about the accuracy of the floor, what's the length of the floor and so on. Then after that, if you have internal layout information, you can slice the building. With beam information and so on, you can actually see the internal layout of the building. So once you have seen the internal layout, maybe you want to see what's the view of the building, having it in the 3D view. So once this 3D view has what, then you start to say, okay, I would like to actually probably add additional floor for that building, having a certain filter dates because I have the attributes in already for every single floor, or any attributes that you put in every single floor that you have. Then from then onwards, not only above ground, you can also view the underground basement. So this is how they use a very simple one, split it into floor. And this one is showing that if let's say you have a landmark like KLCC ke apa kan, and if this condominium, which are the areas that can actually view that landmark? The one in lighter color are the floor that can actually view the landmark. 99% mesti boleh view. Okay? Sometimes this one determines the valuation of the property or the valuation of that particular lot or how you actually value it. So this is actually some of the simple things that we do. The next thing for all cities or some of the organization is actually flood. So this is where we can actually analyze the flood impact. The one in red color are those buildings that is impacted by flood, if let's say the water level actually rise. And then the one here is actually the road. It's not only about building. Some road can be a little bit lower. So which are the roads that is actually affected? So that when you are actually doing road maintenance or even your biking, you know actually which road are going to be affected, what kind of level that you need to actually put at the particular road. So this is actually a few examples of how a very simple one, taking all your UAV, your drones together, creating a very simple 3D to actually show what do you want to solve with your city. So this two technology trend that we have is something that a lot of people are talking about. And then if let's say you'd like to know more, and you'd like to know how our customer actually addressing it, then you can actually let us know and book the consultation with us.